2 things you should know before you study abroad in France. Definitely check out the times that stores are going to open and close in France or whatever country you're studying abroad in. A lot of Americans go to France. They expect the stores to be open Sunday, go to plan to do their grocery shop. They got nothing left in their little student fridge, and everything's closed on Sunday. A lot will depend too on the city where you live, whether it's smaller, whether it's larger. Stores tend to close a lot earlier than they do in the US. They open around the same time. Some stores, especially if you're in the South, might have a 2-hour break at lunchtime. The post offices tend to have a 2-hour break at lunchtime. So if you were planning to go in between classes, just looking up these things and being aware of like the different time schedules and what's standard will help you be better prepared. Also, keep in mind, things will probably take longer than you're expecting. So try really hard if there's any paperwork, any administrative or immigration papers that need to be taken care of, get those done as early as you are physically able, because it might take much longer than you're expecting. So getting that done quicker rather than later and thinking it's all going to go through pretty quickly is a good step. Know what your country's emergency numbers are just in case something bad happens. Very important. Be aware that if you go into student bars and things like that, there's always a handful of creeps, and this is not like a French thing, this is like pretty much any country, that specifically try to target young girls from foreign countries because they expect them to be easier. You know what I mean? These men aren't always safe. I've only seen men do this. Maybe women do it in some countries too, but I have personally only seen men that act like this predatory behavior thing towards foreign exchange students. Be aware that it's a thing. If you're gonna make out with somebody or more, make sure you let them know if you're not intending this to be like a relationship thing. Sometimes in France, when you're dating, as soon as you kiss the person, it's kind of assumed you're in a relationship without having to do any sort of DTR. I was in a relationship for 2 weeks with my husband before realizing it, and I finally brought it up and was like, when are we gonna have the conversation? Like, do you consider me your girlfriend? And he was like, we've been together for like a long time now. And I'm like, oh, I didn't know. I've been waiting for the DTR. It's not as much of a thing in France, unless it's like a one-night stand. Those happen, but generally, if you're kind of like hanging out with somebody and then you start making out, they might assume you're in a relationship. So be careful with other people's hearts. And just over communicate in general, because it'll help you fill in a lot of the missing puzzle pieces when you're trying to figure out what the other person is saying or implying. Over communicate.